Welcome to English Podcasts. Relax and enjoy your listening practice. There was a man who worked at the smallest station along the Northern Line, a place so insignificant that it never earned a proper name on the map, only a thin mark where a platform met cold air and old rails. There was a shed, weather-beaten and leaning, and there was a switch, old as the station itself, connected to a single lever that decided whether trains would continue east or turn away west, carrying their cargoes and stories with them. His name was Lev. People said he wasn't quite like the others, not because he was unkind or incapable, but because he seemed to live slightly out of step with the world around him, listening longer than necessary, speaking less than expected, and smiling at birds as if they were colleagues passing through. Lev used simple words, but his silences were long and attentive. He spoke to signals as though they could answer, and sometimes, when the wind was right, he claimed he could hear the rails hum, a low vibration that told him more than any instruction ever could. For 32 years, day after day, Lev stood by that lever. It was a small job, easily forgotten, and often dismissed as mechanical, but Lev never thought of it that way. He believed trains knew where they needed to go. A person's task was only to listen carefully enough. When asked how he made decisions, he would explain, slowly and without drama, that the rails changed their sound, the air shifted its weight, and sometimes the answer arrived not in the head, but in the chest, where certainty lived quietly. At first, people laughed. Later, they forgot. Eventually, without ever admitting it, they trusted him. In winter, during the long, dark months, military convoys rolled through the station, armed men, sealed wagons, officers who glanced only at their watches and their papers, never at the land they crossed. One night, a train arrived late and stood waiting on track 2. It had no markings, no listing in the log, and no explanation from headquarters. Lev noticed it immediately. As he walked alongside the cars, he saw children's shoes near a window, small and worn, one lace untied, and he understood without needing to ask. The engine sounded exhausted, not angry, as though it wanted rest rather than speed. The radio was dead, but even if it hadn't been, Lev knew what he would do. He pulled the switch and sent the train down the southern fork, a line unused for years, leading toward a town with an open shelter, a doctor who stayed late, and a school that still kept its lights on. Later, someone accused him of rerouting an order. Lev only shrugged. It wasn't going to war, he said. It was going home. Years passed, and once a letter arrived without a return address. It contained only one sentence. They survived because you listened. Another time, during the unrest, 2 trains approached at once. One was a crowded protest train, filled with exhausted demonstrators, their faces pressed close together. The other came fast from the west, official and silent, its blackout windows reflecting nothing. The system demanded priority for speed. Lev hesitated. He saw a woman inside the protest car, holding a photograph of an old man, her breath beginning to fog the glass as she cried quietly. The other train felt different, heavy, sealed, filled with orders, not people. So he pulled the switch. The official train was delayed, complaints were filed, reports were written. But the woman reached the hospital in time. Her father opened his eyes, spoke her name, and spoke her name. Lev never explained himself. When a younger worker once asked what would happen if he made a mistake, Lev answered without turning around. A mistake is when you stop listening. Years later, Lev retired. They gave him a watch. He smiled, slipped it into his pocket and kept his own rhythm. Then came automation. Switches moved without hands. Decisions were made by systems that never hesitated. Still, locals say that on quiet nights, when the air is still and the rails cool, you can hear a faint click beneath the ground, as if someone careful is still at work. And trains, against all logic, take the longer path, avoid danger, and find shelter. Maybe it's coincidence, maybe memory, or maybe Lev is still listening, because some people don't change history with noise or force, but with patience, silence, and courage, the kind that quietly says, "This one goes left," and means it.